everyone. Welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm Sarah.
And I'm James.
And today, we're going to be talking about The Afterparty. So, James, how's it going? Been to any sweet parties this week?
Parties? No. I was going to ask if you've been to a high school reunion before?
Oh, no. I still keep in contact with the people from high school that I care to, and everybody else is like, whatever.
Yeah, I've definitely never gone to a reunion. But yeah, even high school people, I can't say I really keep in touch though very well at all. And I'm assuming you've never murdered anybody, so.
I mean,
this show,
as far as you know.
So this show is just new territory for us all around.
Yes,
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, what you watching now, Sarah? What are you watching this week besides
What am
this?
I watching?
Yeah.
Well, Cobra Kai, the new season came out, so I was watching some of that, and I think Johnny might have become a better person. Like, he's growing up a little bit, giving fatherly advice and like being the reasonable adult in situations. It was a weird good change for him.
But you're saying it doesn't happen until season 5.
I'm saying there's a journey that brings you to season 5, and watching season 5 after watching the first 2 episodes of the first season, it's a drastic change.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, there is I feel like there's a further push into grown-up Johnny territory in the 5th season. And
okay. They must have listened to our podcast then. Made some changes.
Yeah, they had a lot of time, like 4 days or whatever, to really get the work done in there.
Yeah.
And then also, based on your suggestion, I watched a bit of the new Twilight Zone because I'm trying to get into the spooky vibes because it's spooky season. It was fine.
It was fine, okay. Yeah, I remember that was a Paramount Plus show.
Yeah. It was, well, because it's like an anthology series, like every episode is wildly different, and like it's hit or miss. Some episodes are real good or kind of good. Some aren't that good. But they do have a lot. There's a lot of people in it that I like. Like, this is led by Jordan Peele, who I've liked a lot of his other work. Our boy Kamal Nanjiani, our sketchy fake Jedi from Obi-Wan, is in it.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Adam Scott from Parks and Rec is in there. Chris O'Dude from IT Crowd's in an episode. And Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead, he's in there too. All actors I enjoy. I think I liked their episodes.
Have they doubled up on any actors yet?
I don't think so. I have only watched most of the first season. I'm kind of hoping that the second season gets better, But
gotcha.
Yeah. So that is my continued journey into spooky season, trying to find a good spooky show. How about you? What'd you watch this week?
I'm still staying away from
fair.
the supposed spooky season.
I mean, you can only hide so much. It's soon going to be everywhere.
And I noticed you didn't bring up what we watched together this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
Did
right.
you actually forget, or were you just not going to bring it up?
I literally forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I made Sarah watch with me I'll call it the final episode. It's not actually the final episode. It's actually like a whole nother season, but the quote unquote final episode of Food Wars.
Yeah, we're turning into that old gem.
Yeah, because I finally like got to the point like towards the end of the show in my rewatch of it, and I got to like the finale or like the big final moment, and it was like, wait, like there's so many tie-ins to the first 2 episodes that we watched on this podcast that I was like, I have to make Sarah watch this, and then just be like, now you've watched the entire show.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't really miss much.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun along the way, but in terms of the storyline, I think you've hit like all the major points now.
Yeah.
And that final episode we watched was like the second to last episode of season 4. So there's a lot of episodes in between that. But I've still been on an anime kick lately, Sarah.
Yeah.
So I have another anime to describe to you.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, this one that I've just finished watching, I think I finished it, is called Love After World Domination.
Oh.
And it's another anime rom-com.
Of course.
And I would say it's like a cross between Romeo and Juliet and Power Rangers.
Wow, what a combo.
Yes. Are you too old for Power Rangers, Sarah?
No, Power Rangers was very popular when I was a kid. I just wasn't really into it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I was a Power Rangers kid for sure. But yeah, so imagine like, are you familiar with like the original season characters at all?
Vaguely, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Imagine like, this isn't exactly what it is, but imagine like Rita and the Red Ranger were in a relationship with each other. And
Okay.
that's this anime.
All right.
It just makes me happy that this exists. It was a good time. Good time.
Happy enough that it makes the list for potential future making me watch anime.
I mean, it's an anime rom-com. It's good. It could be on the list, yeah. What's actually nice about this one is we've been talking about this, how like when we choose shows for each other with like the nature of this podcast is like we only want to watch like the first episode or like the first two episodes, something like that. But sometimes you really can't get like what's good about a show
Yes.
in the first episode or two episodes. So it's
Which
like,
is why I end up spoiling so many things.
yeah. And it's like it's like, oh, this show I really like it and the other person hasn't watched it, but am I really going to be able to sell them on it in one or two episodes? I don't know. I think this show, this anime, just like what this show is after one episode. Like it does not ease its way in. So it's kind of good from that standpoint in terms of being on this podcast, but I wouldn't say it's like my favorite anime rom-com.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, that is what I have watched this week, besides the Afterparty.
Yes, the Afterparty. Are you ready to talk about?
Oh, wait, no.
No?
We have to talk about our Twitter poll.
Oh, we do.
From 2 weeks ago.
From 2 weeks ago. It just ended. We asked what your favorite Karate Kid movie was. And Twitter polls only give you 4 options. So our options were the original Karate Kid, Karate Kid Part 2 and 3, or 3, I guess, the next Karate Kid, or the Karate Kid that came out in 2010. And overwhelmingly, the winner was the original Karate Kid. I think you may have been the only person to vote for the newer Karate Kid.
Yeah, I was. And Twitter's like really janky with how it like rounds its percentages because only one person also voted for the next Karate Kid. But it's listed on my phone, at least, as like theirs is 4% of the vote and my vote is 5% of the vote. But I'm pretty sure it's only one vote for each of them.
Yeah, either way, blown away by the 65%.
Yeah. So the way we do these Twitter questions, is like you put like hashtags and like certain ads related to the episode. And like we were referencing Cobra Kai in these hashtags. So the people that are seeing this in their feed are all like people that are interested in Cobra Kai. And if you're watching Cobra Kai, you like the original Karate Kid movie. Yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
So it's not the fairest poll, but
I did not put any hashtags in for Jackie Chan fans out there. I apologize. I do my best.
I do think, even with a general random survey of this question, it would still be the Karate Kid, the original one, because not that many people have seen the Jackie Chan one or would be willing to say that it's better. So, but I don't think, I think more than 5% of people should think that the Jackie Chan Karate Kid is the best one.
Fair.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's talk
the
about
Afterparty breakdown.
The Afterparty, yeah, give it to me.
Okay, pretty simple breakdown here. I like the simplicity of the show. It's an American murder mystery comedy. It only has one season.
So far, got renewed for a second season.
Yes. The season is only 8 episodes, but each episode is like a full hour without commercials.
Yes.
And it's on Apple TV Plus. Now, Sarah, I think this is the first Apple TV Plus show that we've talked about. Is that right?
In an official capacity, yes. I do throw out the occasional Ted Lasso reference for good vibes.
Well, yeah, in terms of like what the episode is actually about. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is my first experience with actually watching a show on Apple TV Plus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apple TV Plus is a little janky. I don't know.
Oh, really?
It's weird. So
explain to me.
So I went to I was on my desktop and I was like, okay, I guess I'll start my free trial so I can watch the show.
Okay.
And then it was like, oh, you have to put in a credit card. And I guess that's normal.
Yeah,
But
that's most free trials, yeah.
but it didn't have like any other options for any different types of way of paying. And even when you sign into your account, like it's tied to your like smartphone if you have a
Yeah,
like
your
an Apple
ID,
smartphone.
right?
And
Yeah.
it just feels so weird. Like I'm signing into a streaming service and then I have to like go on my phone and like get a code and then and then I figured out like okay, if I want to pay with PayPal, I can like set that as the default on my phone and then I can try to sign up on my phone and then like it let me do that. And then, but then like it's still like a few times when I go to on the desktop, when I go to like watch an episode, it's like, oh, you got to put your credit card information in. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
weird.
And I actually think this is like if you're, especially if you're used to like watching Netflix, which is like the best like user interface out of like all these streaming sites. Like when you go into another one to watch it, it's like a little janky.
Yeah.
Always. But I find for some reason Apple TV Plus just like bothers me a little bit. I don't know what it is.
Okay. I will say that the experience for me has been completely different because I actually have an Apple TV, the device. So, like, it feels natural on that. And the whole device is sunk up to my Apple ID. So,
Yeah.
everything's been smooth for me.
And that's how I feel about like all Apple products. It's like if you're all in and you just go all Apple, it like everything works. But then if you try to do anything outside of it, it's like it just feels weird.
Janky, yeah.
And it just feels wrong that it works that way. And like I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. But I am full in this cult, so it never bothers me.
So fair warning, I was already a little annoyed before I hit play on the show.
Oh, okay.
Just because of
a bad mood.
Just because it was Apple on Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
But that's okay. I think
You got over it? You're able to put that aside?
I watched the show just fine, but it took me a minute to figure out how to watch it, which was frustrating.
Fair enough.
But here's what the show is. The series takes place at a high school reunion after party, with each episode giving a different character's perspective on what happened that night. So basically, there's going to be a murder.
Yes.
And we're going to get all the different people that were on the scene. Each episode is like a different perspective, although sometimes you get multiple people's perspective in one episode, right, Sarah? Because there's more than 8 people's perspective.
Yes. Although there are some people who are around that you never get their view of the evening because it doesn't really matter. But
okay.
But yeah, it's a whodunit. Like I think that if you pay enough attention, you could probably figure out who did it by the end. My first time watching through it all, I did not, but I think other people maybe could have.
Okay. The wiki calls this a millennial whodunit.
That's fair. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I'll save my thoughts on how I plan on watching the show and like who I think might be the murderer. Okay. I'll save that for the end of episode 1.
Fair.
I'll spoil now. I've only watched episode 1. I have not continued yet. Or ever.
Ooh, gotta keep it vague. I appreciate your attempt there.
Okay. That's the show. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Lots of good actors in the show that we can talk about. I was thinking we could just talk about them as we get to them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. You ready to get into the episode?
I am so ready. Let's go.
All right. The first episode is called Anik because Anik is a character in the show. Yeah.
Yes.
Anik is played by Sam Richardson.
Yes.
Who I am familiar with from Ted Lasso.
Yes.
As are you, Sarah. He in Ted Lasso, if people have watched that show, he is I'm trying to remember exactly what he was. Was he like a Nigerian prince or was he just like a rich guy from Nigeria? What was he?
Wasn't Nigeria even. He was an African prince, we'll put it that way, who was trying to recruit one of the players from the team to come to a team he was forming.
And his scene when he gets like rejected and then he just flips his shit and like storms off and is like choking out mannequins and like it's one of my favorite scenes in Ted Lasso, honestly. So Sam Richardson, he could do some things to make me laugh. The
physical
easily.
Comedy was great, yeah.
And then I don't know if you remember this, Sarah. He's also in an episode of New Girl.
Yes.
As Winston's temporary cop partner.
I believe I remember he cannot drive at night or
No,
something
he's
like
yeah,
that.
he's night blind. He can't see at night. Yeah, so also another very goofy character that he
Hmm.
played. Now he's a fairly normal guy in this show.
Yes, one would even argue he's your protagonist of the show, like the main
I was
like guy
wondering
you're
that.
supposed to identify with.
Yeah, so the first episode is about him, but I was wondering if he's like actually the main character. Is he the main character or is the detective the main character?
I mean, it is really like a whole ensemble situation, but
Yeah.
like he is present, like he is at the forefront of a lot of stuff that happens in each episode.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Here's what's happening. Anik's driving in his car, and he drives up to his class reunion, class of 2006. This is
Yeah.
a 15-year reunion. So everybody in the show is like 33-ish years old, I believe. Or not the actors, but the characters are supposed to be 33 years old.
Hmm.
And he gets out of the car, and he has a text from somebody named Zoe.
Yes. She says, "I hope to see you at the reunion." And then there's like a little smiley emoji.
Yeah. So right away, it's just like, okay, Anik is here to potentially meet somebody from high school that he used to have a crush on, or maybe they already used to go out, something like that.
Mhm. And he even like gives himself a little pep talk. And he's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
go
he
in there,
seems
it's
like a
gonna be
nervous
fine.
guy. He
Yeah.
seems like a nervous, nerdy kind of stereotypical
Yes.
guy. Yeah.
And he's like, nothing can ruin this night. Smash cut to someone falling from the side of a cliff and smashing on the rocks below and dying. And then we get the opening credits.
Yeah, and this was like at a fancy house that was on like, it's like a beachfront property, but it's like on a cliff, I guess.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very fancy house.
Yes.
And then people are screaming.
Which makes sense.
And then we cut to the intro, yeah. Now this intro and art stuff, I wanted to say this reminds me of the Archer intro.
Okay, yeah. Like sort of an illustrated series of, I don't know, not like scenes, but like an abstract illustrated situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like Archer, if I had to guess, was like also taking that style of intro from another show that I just don't know what it is.
Oh, well,
Most
Archer's
likely.
definitely like playing off of old James Bond intros.
Oh yeah, I guess it's kind of like that, yeah.
But there are like a lot of shows that sort of take this like abstract illustrated opening credits situation. Another show on Apple TV Plus, The Morning Show, has kind of a similar vibe. It's become a more popular style recently, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, I guess the Archer one is like, I guess it is James Bond because Archer is animated, so like the fact that the opening scene is animated is like makes sense. But in this show, it's a live action show that has an animated opening scene.
Yeah, but again, like really abstract and like none of the characters are animated in this scene. It's just like vague looking people or whatever.
Yes, yeah, it's not supposed to necessarily represent anybody specific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're done with the intro, and here comes in Tiffany Haddish.
Oh yeah, she is a comedian, and she's been in a lot of shows, and I enjoy her.
Yes, there's a lot of people that I know of in this show,
mm-hmm.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're like, you know, crazy popular or famous. I think Tiffany Haddish is like the big get for the show. I think she's the most famous.
Well, also our person who fell from the
he's pretty big too.
is pretty famous too. But yeah, Tiffany Haddish is like the big shiny fancy star at the forefront of the show, I'd say.
Yes, and Tiffany Haddish is Detective Danner. So she's going to be in charge of, well, maybe not in charge of interviewing all these potential suspects.
She arrives on the crime scene, and there's already like police tape and a lot of like uniformed cops around, and people like who are ever supposed to like, you know, put all the little numbers out and all the little evidence on the scene, you know, all those background cop people that they never really pay attention to in cop shows. And she's actually on the phone with her captain, who's telling her that she can't take lead on this case because it's a famous person who has died and it's just way too high profile. And she's just supposed to take witness statements from everybody who's there and wait for the morning when the proper person, the detective, is supposed to come and take lead on the case. But she hangs up with her boss and just tells everybody she's lead on the case anyway.
Yeah. And the captain mentioned that the chief had already called in a ringer from LA. named
Yes.
Detective Jeremiah. Or no, Detective Germain, sorry.
Yes. And she says she knows that guy and he sucks, but and that she should lead the case, but she does not convince him.
Is it too much of a spoiler to declare if Detective Germain shows up at some point in the show?
He shows up in the morning whenever the show reaches the morning. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, okay. I was looking at like the top cast list on like IMDb, and I don't even see Detective Germain, so I was wondering if he even exists.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. Yeah. So Detective Danner not happy about how she was being tried to get boxed out, but she doesn't care. She just tells everybody she's in charge anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then her like I don't even know how to describe this other detective guy.
Her partner, but she's like,
I guess it's partner, yeah.
But she's like clearly like taking the lead, and he's following her, so he feels a bit more like a minion than a
he's a little bit
more
of
appropriate partner.
He's definitely like a comedy character. He's like he's almost like acting like her hype man at times, and then but at the same time he also wants like everybody to know that he's like equally in charge, but clearly not equally in charge. You know?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's a bit of a weird guy.
Detective Culp is his name.
Detective Culp, yeah. But yeah, apparently all the guests, I guess that were still there when the body was found, I guess, they're still in the house.
Yes, but first they go down and examine the body a little bit, and the first weird thing is there is shrimp just everywhere, and not like from the sea, like cooked shrimp.
That's not the first weird thing.
Okay,
I guess that's the first weird thing. Yeah, you're right. I wrote down all the clues in this scene. You want to hear all the clues?
Yeah, give me all the clues.
Okay. Well, some of them might not be clues, but they were just things that Detective Danner noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Or Detective Culp. Well, first of all, this dead body is Dave Franco.
Yes.
Named Xavier in this show. And Xavier is a celebrity of some sort. I think that's all we know at this point.
Yeah,
we'll find out later.
His credits a little later.
Yeah. Now, Dave Franco, Sarah.
Yes.
I have this thing where I think like Dave Franco and like Zac Efron are like the same person. And I I frequently am like, oh yeah, Dave Franco, he was in Baywatch with The Rock. That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. Now I think Dave Franco is in the Now You See Me movies. That's Dave Franco. Have you seen those movies?
A while ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he's one of the Four Horsemen, okay. Yeah. And then I think he's also in 21 Jump Street. He's like the high school drug dealer or something in that movie.
Okay, I've not seen that.
Yeah. So I think I'm right about that. But, you know, I might be thinking of Zac Efron. So don't take my word for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So here are the clues. First of all, Xavier is not wearing a shirt.
But he is wearing a suit jacket.
Yeah.
So
he's got that,
this was a choice.
Got that look. Well, you never know.
Well,
we don't know anything for sure, but it looks like something he would wear on purpose.
Yeah.
But Detective Danner made a note of it, so I thought it could have come up later.
Yes.
His jacket smells of whiskey and ginger ale. I guess that's not weird either.
I don't know if that's a common combination or not, but sure. And
then Detective Culp finds shrimp all over the ground, but he says that they're cooked, so they didn't come from the ocean. And there's also just a random blonde wig on a rock that's kind of like maybe like a good like 15 feet away from the body.
Yes.
Something like that. And then Detective Culp finds a hat underneath the body.
Yeah, Detective Danner uses this and decides that means this could not have been a suicide. And I'm not sure how I feel about that logic.
Yeah, the logic here is definitely not sound.
I mean, she goes on to explain, like, if he fell off with the hat on and it fell off while he was falling down, he would hit the ground before the, hat floated down. But I'm like, you don't know he was wearing the hat when he jumped. If he jumped, he could have tossed the hat out just to see how the wind took it or what, like anything could have happened.
Yeah.
Resulted in a hat down there.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But she has decided, no, this is a murder.
Also, the hat is like, it's a weird hat, right? It's not like a baseball hat.
It's definitely a weird hat.
It looks like a winter hat or something. Like, I don't even know why anybody would be wearing this hat.
It's almost like a leather ear flap hat. It is some weird fashion choice.
Or was it like an old school like football helmet? I don't know what it was. Yeah.
It was a weird hat. I don't know.
Also, Xavier has a contusion on his nose, which
Yes.
Detective Culp guesses that he may have been punched in the face. My first thought was, or he like hit it on the rock, but who
Well,
am I to
he
say that?
is laying like face up, so presumably
Bodies can bounce a little bit.
I guess.
I don't think this body did bounce based on the footage we had of it,
Hmm.
but yeah, those were all the clues they got, and like you said, Detective Danner says this is a murder for sure. It feels a little bit like I think this is just this is a comedy,
Hmm.
so they don't have to be super serious about this stuff. It's like, let's just get to the fact that this is a murder and not it doesn't have to make all total sense.
Yeah.
They just went past the thought of it even being an accident like almost immediately.
But it also seems like she's a little excited about it being a murder that she gets to solve, you know?
Yeah, and there is a little bit of stuff later that like kind of explains it, like her personality a little bit. Like she actually isn't. She describes herself as like not really good at solving puzzles, but she's like a social dynamics kind of detective.
Yes.
So maybe her instinct to say that this was a murder isn't necessarily accurate, but like she's gonna she's just excited to get to know everybody and figure out whatever happens.
Hmm.
And maybe she's even just like acting like it's a murder for the like maybe she thinks it'll help her figure out what happened if she just tells everybody that's a murder. I don't know what she's thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Detective Culp comes up with some random theories as to what might have happened. He seems more determined to come up with theories that make it an accident, right?
Yeah. Or he's just trying to like play devil's advocate with her, like I think which would probably be a good dynamic for a pair of detectives, right? You don't want to just always agree and go down the oh no, it's definitely a murder
Okay.
route. You know, you want to observe other things too.
Yeah. Because this is a whodunit, I'm not like ruling out the potential that the detectives are also suspects, So my thought was like, oh, like Culp seems kind of weird how he really doesn't want this to be considered a murder, but
Interesting.
chances
Okay.
are, that's not actually the case in the show. So we cut back to Anik in the house, and now Anik has marker all over his face with the word nerd on his forehead.
Yep, he's got like a little cat nose and whiskers and just random words written places, like when somebody falls asleep at a party.
Yeah. So basically, there was a big jump. Basically, like Anik rolled up to his old high school where the reunion was, and then the show immediately jumped to like the end of this party, this after
Yes.
party at this rich guy's house.
Because there aren't a lot of people left. There's like 8 or 10 maybe guests left in this house. So clearly the night had already started to wear down before the death occurred.
Yeah, and I thought like these like 8 to 10 people were the entire party, but we find out later that it was a pretty big party, but this is just like the end of it where only a certain amount of people are still left.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Anik's first words when we get over to him are he's just like kind of talking to himself. He's like, "How could this have all go so wrong? I didn't do it."
Yep.
And then Ben Schwartz rolls in.
Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz, I only know him for one thing. Sorry.
Is that as Jean-Ralphio in
Jean-Ralphio.
Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec.
He's also the voice of Sonic in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Oh.
Not that I've seen them, but
I have not seen those yet either. But yeah, he's very Jean-Ralphio in this.
But like a parsed down version, like you could still hang with this guy, like
he's like a smart Jean-Ralphio. Like he's not stupid, but he has the
he has that energy,
the quirkiness of Jean-Ralphio. Yeah. But his name in the show is Jasper, which is Jasper. I don't think I've ever met a Jasper.
Me either, but it's memorable.
I guess I haven't met an Anik either, but Anik doesn't seem like as weird a name as Jasper to me. I don't know why.
Okay.
But yeah, Jasper just says to him, he's like, "It's okay, man. Nobody thinks you did it." And I guess I gathered that maybe these two are good friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
They do end up being friends, but he seems to have Anik's back, even though Anik thinks that everybody thinks that he murdered Xavier. And Detective Danner rolls in the front door of the house. And then I have more clues, Sarah.
Okay.
that Detective Danner notices when she enters the house.
Hit me with them.
First, she slips on a puddle in
Mm-hmm.
like the entrance room, I guess is
Yeah.
what you would call it.
The foyer.
And she's just like, "Oh, there's a puddle in here. Like, what's up with that?" She's like kind of like muddling under her breath, like very like Tiffany Haddish kind of
Oh yeah.
humor here.
Definitely like, what is up with these like crazy rich people and this ridiculous house?
Yeah,
But
she's like, "What the hell?" It's like that she kind of like mumbles under her breath in like a high pitched voice. So there's also an arrow in the wall that's
yes.
going through like a movie poster, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looks out to the like, I guess it's the first floor balcony, looking over
Yes.
the cliff, and there's it. I guess it's a bush that's toppled over, but the bush has been sculpted to be in the shape of an X
Yes.
for Xavier, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's
there's just a
shrimp all
bunch
over
of
the
shrimp
place.
on it. There's just, so it's like a shrimp bush that's in the shape of an X.
I mean, have you never had a shrimp bush before at a party? Of course.
No. And then she notices presumably smashed guitar because the guitar is just
Mm-hmm.
fully broken. And there's a bunch of beers on the floor next to a single ski.
Yes. All, standard party stuff.
Super weird clues so far. Not getting anything from this.
Yes.
And then I think the news comes on the TV.
Yes, and the news is reporting on Xavier's death, and somebody is like, "Oh, turn that up," and it doesn't matter that there's a cop there. They're like, "We need to watch this thing right now."
Yeah, she seems like she wants to watch it too.
Yeah, but so the report just says that he died at an after party for his high school reunion, and it talks a little bit about his rise to fame. His first song that he really got popular for was called X Marks the G Spot. So
Yes.
that can tell you a lot about the vibe of Xavier.
They label him a pop megastar.
Yes. He has also starred in some movies, including the Hungry Hungry Hippos movie.
I couldn't tell if the movie was named Jungle Adventure, Hungry Hungry Hippos, or just Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Oh, I think it might. I'm not sure.
I wasn't sure if the movie was a jungle adventure and the sub title of it was Hungry Hungry Hippos, or if the movie was just called Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Either way, later in an episode in the future, we see more of a scene from this, and they definitely do talk about the Hungry Hungry Hippos and refer to them as such. So, yeah.
Okay.
And
ridiculous. I like this.
Yes,
this is
yes.
good.
And then he was also in a Hall & Oates movie with Channing Tatum, and they show a scene from this where they presumably come up with the song Man-Eater, which I was unfamiliar with, and then went on YouTube and went, "Oh, I've heard some of the chorus of this song, but everything else is unfamiliar to me."
Okay. Gotcha.
But that was some over-the-top acting in that
Yeah,
scene.
it was
great.
good. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it like he's supposed to be in this movie with like the real Channing Tatum.
Yes.
Yeah. Even though it's like Dave Franco and Channing Tatum, but Dan Franco is not Dave Franco.
Yes.
in the movie, yeah.
And at this point, Danner tells them to turn it off because, she's got work to do.
Yeah. And I didn't even write down what she said to them. But she was just like, I'm going to be interviewing you all, basically.
Yeah.
And it's going to take some hours. And people were not happy about that.
But before she gets to interviewing them, she goes upstairs to like finish inspecting, like doing her walkthrough of the scene. And at this point, we get a character called Brett that we're looking over a balcony down at the body of their friends, their former classmate. And another woman in like a fur coat comes up. We find out later her name is Chelsea. And he really doesn't want to talk to her. And she's just like, "I know what you're hiding in your car." And he's like, "Well, I know what you said to me in the hallway at the reunion." And then they agree to not tell anybody either of those things. So they're being suspicious.
Yeah. And then they continue, but their conversation is like super goofy. Like I didn't really know how to like highlight the comedy aspect of the show too much, but like they like continued their conversation, but their conversation is talking about how they want to end the conversation.
Yes, like
but they're arguing about how to end the conversation.
Yes, neither of them is willing to let the other one have the last word. Like
yeah.
they have some sort of relationship where they're not fond of each other and they're just being super childish about it. But so this is on the first floor balcony. There is a second floor balcony that is off to the side that Danner is up on, trying to listen to this childish conversation from above. And Detective Culp is searching for clues. Do you have the clues from upstairs?
I do actually. Detective Culp notices that there's scrapes on the second floor balcony railing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where he fell from. I feel like they should just be able to like tell where he fell from, but
yeah, just like placement wise.
Yeah, just like knowing how gravity works.
Yeah,
because I don't think the first floor balcony is like underneath the second floor balcony.
No, it's like over to the side.
Maybe there's
like,
an overlap. I'm not sure.
There's like a smidgen of an overlap. It's like
Yeah.
they share a side almost, you know?
Yeah, and then he sees like I think he's like it's like a single drop of blood is on the second floor balcony, which he thinks is like, oh, this is where he got punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start like walking out, and then Detective Danner notices that Anik is like eyeing up one of the women that's at the party.
She calls her the uptight artist girl because she has ink on her hands, so clearly artist.
Yeah, she did notice that detail, despite maybe
not being a clues person.
Not being a clues person, yeah. Oh, and then earlier I think they talked about, I don't know if I had this out of order, or if I just forget how the scenes played out, but they talked about how Anik's clothes are like soaking wet.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, is he just sweating or something? But no, he's
no,
like...
it's much
it's
more
not
wet
sweating,
than that.
Yeah.
And so I think the only other thing is that there are no security cameras upstairs in what is the bedroom.
Oh, of course. Well, that just has to be the case. I didn't even hear them say that, but that would just break the show.
Yes, immediately. So then they come down, and Danner like announces that she's gonna interview all of them here, and she gives like a speech about how anyone could be the murderer and emotions are running high at a reunion. So she's got to, hear all the stories, and it's gonna take a few hours.
He says, I want to hear everybody's mind movie, because everybody is the hero of their own story. And basically this speech, I think, is basically Detective Danner explaining what this show is going to be.
Yes, because every episode is essentially like the night from the perspective of a different person who was at this party. Yeah.
And at least in like the two that we get in this episode, it's actually pretty interesting how they do this. It's like each perspective, maybe this isn't true for the later episodes, but each perspective seems like it's going to be almost like a different genre of movie. Potentially,
that's definitely what happens. Yeah,
but also like the fact that she's pointing out that like everybody's the hero of their own story to me is like, okay, we're getting these stories that are going to be shown as flashbacks, but just because they're shown as flashbacks doesn't necessarily mean they're true, because it's only from the perspective of the one person that's telling Detective Danner the story.
Yeah, this is a storytelling like device that I love, like an unreliable narrator where like everybody's talking from their perspective, trying to make themselves look good or talking about how they saw it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So a lot of things we see in this episode, in a future episode, you'll see contradicted and or revealed the more maybe true version of what actually happened. And you kind of have to take bits from all of the different flashbacks to really figure out what's going on.
Yes. And I'll make some predictions based on the two stories we get in this episode as to what I think might be real and what's not.
Okay. But yeah, when she says it's going to take a while, there's a pregnant woman who is called Gen 1 because there are two gens. She's really mad about how long it's going to take.
Yes. And I think she just jumps up and she's like, this is so stupid. Why are we doing this? It was clearly Anik who killed him.
Yes. And so this is like where it really confirms that, Anik is the forefront subject in most people's minds. But Danner is actually like, did you see him kill him? Then sit down, and you should be ashamed of yourself for wearing heels while you're that pregnant.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know what to think about that comment.
Well, they were pretty high heels, and like she was very pregnant, so you got to figure that like back pain is not going to be fun for her. But
yeah, I don't know. You do you, Jennifer 1. I don't have a problem with it. So Jennifer 1 is played by Tia Sinkar. Sircar. Tia Sircar.
Who I know from The Good Place.
Yes, that's what I know her from too. She's also in the movie The Internship with the guys from The Wedding Crashers. It's like
okay. Yeah.
Owen Wilson and do not remember the other guy's name, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. She's like one of the like actual like college graduate interns, not like the old guys. Yeah. But yeah, I've liked her in everything I've seen her in. So far, all the actors we've talked about, I'm like, okay, I know this person, I like them what I saw them previously. So I'm liking the cast so far.
So as Jen is kind of defending the fact that she didn't see Anik kill Xavier, but Indigo saw Anik at the scene of the crime up in the bedroom. So here's where we get to hear Indigo's mind movie.
Yeah. And before this, Detective Dammer establishes that like nobody actually saw the murder though.
Right. Well, the murderer did.
Except for the murderer, yeah. Yeah. But nobody is like coming out and being like, I saw this person do it.
Right.
So it's a solid mystery. But here is Indigo's flashback.
Well, first of all, she is
Who is Indigo?
She looks like a I don't know that I am familiar with her as an actress.
No, I'm not either.
I don't know. But this character is a very artsy style of person, like a snobby artsy person, not like a
I had no idea.
On hands artsy person, like we've established. Like this is not the artsy person that Danner said that Anik was like eyeing up. This is a different person. This is the important part.
This person's weird. Indigo's weird. I don't know what kind of weird. I can't really tell you. I can't describe it, but
yeah,
she's I don't know, like aloof or like living in her own world, I guess is the kind of maybe way to describe her. But they go to this flashback,
and it's black and white.
It's black and white, and it's in a 4:3 aspect ratio. So like the sides of the screen are cut off. So it's like it's supposed to like symbolize the, I guess, like the mental state of the person who's telling the story. And she's like, I don't know what this means for Indigo, that her memories are in black and white in a 4:3 aspect ratio.
And everyone like talking in this flashback is talking like in a way more sophisticated, fancy sort of way. Like she says she was on the balcony with Gen 1 and Gen 2, and she saw, I think it was Ned, was creating an art piece by like laying the ski on top of Anik, who was passed out on the floor, and he's just like, no, I was just doing a cool prank. It was a cool prank. It's not like they flash back to now, and he's just like, I don't know what she just said, but I was doing a prank. That was not an art piece.
Yeah, all I know about Ned, this guy, is that he likes to do pranks, apparently. That's like his whole thing, his whole personality. And his prank was, basically this, like, the ski will topple at some point and it will spill beer on Anik, and that's the prank.
Yeah, it was balanced on top of Anik's sleeping body, and then on top of the ski was a bunch of cups of beer. So
okay,
but from the mind of Indigo, it was an art piece with some sort of commentary on something. So then she says, there was a bright light. I didn't know what it was. The TV was on. I try not to look at screens. Like, she's just very dramatic in that sort of way.
This whole flashback, everybody in the scene is like over dramatic. Indigo is over dramatic. Basically, like the way that she sees the world is like every little thing is big time drama. Like, I don't know. It's a super weird flashback. It's not a long flashback though.
Yes. But so something happened on the TV, which caused Anik to wake up, which caused all the beer to spill all over him. And he was upset and convinced that this was Xavier who did this.
Yeah, but in the way that like you almost can tell just from this one flashback that this is not an accurate depiction of what happened, because Anik is usually like this like quiet, nerdy, nervous guy. And as soon as he gets up, he's like, I know who did this. It must have been Xavier. I'm going to go find him and give him a piece of my mind. Like, so it's like it doesn't line up with the character that we've already seen. So Indigo's flashback seems like total BS. Although some of the things that happen in the flashback are confirmed to be true by some of the characters here.
Yes. But it's really just like the way it's presented. Like the actual conversation is different. Things aren't in black and white. But
Yeah.
so he storms upstairs looking for Xavier, and then you hear him yell from upstairs. And at this point, everyone looks off over, goes to the balcony and looks off, and that's when they see the body of Xavier.
Yeah, I think we missed maybe these details don't matter, but some other things that happened in this Indigo flashback where that Jennifer 1, her husband is Ned.
Yes.
So the pregnant woman and the prankster are together.
Mm-hmm.
And Jennifer 1 is also like kind of telling Ned to leave Anik alone. I don't know if this was supposed to indicate that Jennifer 1 was on good terms with Anik, or she just doesn't like pranks in general. Like I didn't really.
I feel like it was a
fully-
half-hearted, like, oh, you shouldn't do that. I don't think like she really cared about Anik that much. It was
Okay.
more like, stop pranking him.
But also, also in this
Forgot about this
flashback, Xavier was like, apparently Xavier was peeing off the second floor balcony and just peed all over Jennifer 1
For one, yeah.
on the first floor balcony. And Ned confirms this as true when it flashes back, because he's like, yeah, I had to go to the bathroom and get a bunch of napkins or something. I don't know what he said.
Oh yeah, he had tried to take her to the bathroom, but it was full, like somebody was in there, so he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm using my slight dude bro voice because that's how Ned talks.
Yeah. This flashback, I guess this stuff mostly happened. The only thing that's weird is just like Anik definitely wasn't that dramatic when he woke up. And even though he went upstairs and said something, like nobody actually saw Anik do it. It's still like Indigo, in an Indigo's mind, in her dramatic mind, she's like, I saw him do it. But she really didn't.
Yeah, because then she did actually go upstairs after everybody else was like looking over the balcony to see the body. And she, like, in her flashback, sees him standing there, like, staring at his hands, just like, no, how could this happen?
Yeah.
In a way that makes him look really guilty.
I guess. I feel like it didn't add anything. But
well, at least from her perspective, it seemed like he went up there, yelled, pushed him, and it was now like, oh, how could I have killed someone?
yeah. But from the audience perspective, this is not a confirmation of anything. This is just illustrating the ridiculousness that is the Indigo character, I think.
But it is enough where Danner's like, okay, well, Anik, you're the first suspect then. So
yeah, it's the only lead. So, or it's a reason to interview somebody first. Yeah, that's enough of Indigo's flashback. Do we get another Indigo flashback ever again in this show, Sarah?
No. I mean, she exists in flashbacks of other people, but nothing this black and white art house film dramatic will happen again.
Okay.
Different genres will happen, though.
So when they went to Indigo's flashback, they like throw her name on like the top of this bottom of the screen as like, this is the Indigo flashback kind of thing.
Yes.
And then when we get to Anik's story, they throw his name at the bottom of the screen. But I'm assuming we only get every character that gets a flashback only that has one, right?
Yes.
We won't ever like double. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see the same scenes twice, but we'll never be from the same perspective.
Correct.
Again. Okay. So, Detective Danner takes Anik to a music studio room that I guess makes sense exists in this house.
Yeah, Xavier's a rich recording artist, so makes sense.
Yeah. Ooh, and I actually think that's an important note that he's a music artist for something else that happens later. At least for my prediction.
Okay.
It doesn't mean it's actually true, but
all right.
It made me think of something. And quickly, Detective Danner figures out like, oh, Anik is like a smart guy because like he basically like she doesn't know all the names of the people, so Anik just like spits off like, oh, here they are from going clockwise from your perspective in the room, and he like lists off all the names of everybody in the room except for one guy.
They're no longer in that room.
Yeah. Except for one guy, he had to think for a second about what his name was.
Yeah, he's like, some guy who I think is named Walt.
Yeah.
Or Walt.
And we get Anik's flashback, right, Sarah? Any setup before this flashback? This is most of the show. This flashback is most of the show.
Basically, she's setting herself up to be comfortable. I don't know. She has like little things in her purse that she's setting around on the like table next to her, and he's just like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I just want it to be fun and comfortable, you know?" And he's like, "There's nothing fun about this. Like, somebody's dead and I might get arrested for it." So he's a little on edge. But I think she's able to like get him speaking like comfortably with her, because she's just like, "All right, just tell me, you know, how the night went. I want to know why you even went to this reunion."
Yeah. And she's full like good cop here. Like she's very
Yes.
like comforting and like, hey, just tell me the story. I don't care what it is or how you want to tell it. Just let me know.
Yeah.
And then I feel like she's later on, like after this story, it seems like she goes like full bad cop almost.
Oh,
So
yeah. She knows what
she
she's
plays
doing
like
here.
she basically is like playing good cop bad cop by herself, which
She
I
does
think
it
is pretty
well.
cool. Yeah, it's good. I think Tiffany Haddish is like the perfect cast for whatever
Oh,
they were
yeah.
going for here.
Yeah, she's great in this role.
It's partially like, you know, the actor they casted, they're putting them in a role that they're comfortable with, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could be like, oh, they just casted perfectly for a lot of these roles.
Yeah. Or they might have like written them with somebody in mind or altered some of the stuff based on who was in it. I think I saw a Dave Franco interview where he talked about how there was a lot of improvisation on set for this one. So I think there's a lot of room for like the actors to inform what these characters are like based on, you know, their style.
Well, Dave, if he's talking about specifically about his character must be really fun to improvise with, because the Dave Franco character is just like, he's kind of a dick.
Oh, he's definitely a dick, but like in the
So,
best way. Like he's fun to watch.
so he basically just has to like go into a scene, maybe doesn't even need exact lines per se, but just like whatever like the most inappropriate thing that he could like say in the moment, just say that, and that'll be the funny line in
Hmm.
the movie. Not the most inappropriate, but you know,
Yeah, yeah, but it would be like on point for this
if
character.
I wanted everybody to know that I was a dick, what would I say right here? And that's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that gets better in further episodes.
Oh, okay.
He over the top, yeah.
So where does Anik's story start?
Well,
Why is he even here, Sarah?
he's a little embarrassed to say, but he came to the reunion for love, because he came for Zoe. They were chemistry partners in high school, and they didn't just have chemistry together, they had chemistry together.
Yes. And Zoe is the artsy woman, not the weird artsy woman.
The one who had ink on her hands,
Yeah,
who
that he was eyeing up earlier, according
yes,
to
yes.
Detective Danner. And we cut to Anik's flashback, and it has his name at the bottom of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Except there's a little heart over the eye in Anik.
Yes.
So what basically this is basically like his mind movie that he's about to tell to Detective Danner is kind of like a rom-com movie.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So it basically goes back to the moment where he drove up to the reunion. We pick up where he left off in the beginning of the episode. And he explains that Zoe is actually recently divorced.
And he got this message from her like a week ago
Yeah.
saying that she was looking forward to seeing him. And he was like, she sent a smiley emoji. What does this even mean? I
Yeah.
just think it's that classic like over analyzing an emoji from somebody you like situation.
Yeah. And he gets out of the car and he runs into Jasper, his buddy. They actually are buddies.
Yes.
And they haven't seen each other in like 2 years, I think is what they say.
Mm-hmm. It's been a bit of a
But that's
while.
still not 15 years, so
Yeah.
they're
They're
pretty good.
pretty good terms. Yeah.
They're walking in the reunion, and they have this. So I've never been to a high school reunion before, so I don't know how normal all of this is. But they're like walking up, and like they made like a walkway with a bunch of like easels set up with like big
Their
cutouts
senior
of like
pictures.
everybody's
Yeah.
senior picture. I don't know, is this a thing?
I mean, it might be if you go to a small school. Like I went to a really big high school, so like there were 500 kids in my graduating class. So this would
Yeah.
not be feasible, and it's part of the reason why I'm not gonna go to a reunion, because what are the chances anybody I know is gonna show up? But maybe at a small place where you have already gotten people RSVPing, maybe this makes sense to do. I don't know.
Yeah. And they see Chelsea, or they like get closer to Chelsea, who was the woman that was having a mysterious confrontation with Brett earlier.
Yes, in the big like feathery furry jacket or whatever. Yeah, and she's just like dropping flasks in this scene.
Is that what it was? Yeah. So she has like I guess her purse, and she like sees them, or they say hi to her, and then that causes her to like drop something.
Yes.
And then she says something weird to them. She's like, "Have you guys been following me?" I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Oh, okay. Good to see you, Jasper and Anik." Like, super weird. We don't get a lot of Chelsea in this episode, but what we get from her is like, what is happening with this character?
Yeah, Jasper, in an aside to Anik, is like, yeah, she had a breakdown like recently. Like, she's a whole mess.
Okay.
But mostly they are talking about Zoe and how this is his chance to like meet up with her now that she's single again. And Anik mentions that things never worked out in high school because some rich popular guy would always swoop in at the last minute and steal her away.
Yeah. And this is where I wrote down that Jasper is being very John Ralphio with how he talks to Anik.
Yes. And very like that hype man aspect of Jean Ralphio. Yeah. Just like, yeah, come on, you got this, and it'll be amazing.
And then Anik and Jasper run into a guy that they don't remember, but they try to pretend that they remember him.
Yeah, and it's super awkward.
It's super awkward. And the guy's like, he's like, oh, what's my name? And they do not know what his name is.
I forget what Jasper says, but he picks like some really weird name.
Yeah,
and he's just like, why would you guess that?
He guessed like like Slumper or something. Like something
yeah,
really
it was
dumb.
Weird.
But this is Walt. So this is the guy that Anik was still, even at the after party, had to think before he got his name correct.
And he says something like, nobody paid attention to me in high school, but I'm going to make sure they remember me tonight. And it's a little ominousness in light of the rest of the show.
I'll make sure they don't forget. Not this time. And he says it like the creepiest way possible.
Yeah. Oh, but in addition to these senior portraits that are lining the walk, there are also these balloon arches. And Anik happens to run into Zoe right near one of them, and they get all tangled up in the balloons. And there's this slow motion shot with this like whimsical music that you'd have in a movie where people are falling in love. And it's just like this great, romantic comedy movie moment. Like it's a meet cute.
Yes. Yeah. I like this flashback.
Yeah. It really sells this is the romantic comedy movie part.
Yeah.
And we actually cut back to current time, and Anik's like gushing about how well this moment went, and he's like, wait, do you really need to hear all this? And Detective Danner's like, oh no, I'm here for it. In fact, let me get my popcorn. And she literally has like a little baggie of popcorn in her purse that she just starts eating, and like she's fully prepared to be entertained.
Yeah. So Anik and Zoe are they're reminiscing and this having a good connection right where they left off, basically. But then here comes the helicopter.
Yes. Actually, we do find out also that Jasper and Xavier used to be in a ska band together in high school, which was called Ska Pay Diem, which is the name of a ska band, I suppose. And Jasper's like still making music apparently, and he's gonna try to get Xavier to bless his track this evening, which
what does that mean?
We get an explanation of that in Jasper's episode, but basically it's like he wants Xavier to like do a little bit in a song where he's just like, hey, this guy's the best, or just do a little like featuring moment on his song that'll like help him get like popular.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, then Xavier shows up to this reunion in a helicopter, which is a very normal way to show up to a reunion.
Yes, of course. And he's not wearing a shirt. He's wearing the clothes that he is dead in right now.
Yeah, this was a choice.
So yeah, he's not wearing a shirt. So that clue, not useful.
And like all these people are like going to the helicopter to be like, oh my gosh, it's Xavier. And you kind of see Zoe in the background like going with the people to like see what's happening. And Anik's just like, see, literally rich guy swooping in, he's gonna ruin this.
Yeah. And then when Xavier comes out of the helicopter, this is great, like opening like character for Xavier. He's like oh, he's like trying to act so like humble and modest, and he's like, oh, I'm just here to like reune like all you normal people.
Yeah, that's why he showed up in a helicopter. It makes perfect
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. He uses the word reune and then calls them normal people. That was great.
Yeah. He is very out of touch and definitely enjoys being the center of attention.
Yeah. But let's keep moving to this story. Anik and Jasper, they decide to enter the building, I guess, is what this was.
Mm-hmm.
And the two Jennifers are, I guess, the organizers of the reunion.
Yeah, and they're like giving people their name tags, and they want to put everybody's job on their name tags. And there was just this silly moment that was funny to me. Jasper explains that he owns his own AV installation company. And then Gen 2 just turns to Anik and's like, do you work? And he's just like, yes? Like, what kind of question is this?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
But we find out that he designs escape rooms.
Yeah, that's like your dream job right there.
I don't know that that's my dream job.
You want to hire somebody to make your house an escape room?
I mean, yes, except without the locking me in with.
A puzzle house is what you said before.
But yeah, there are similar.
You don't have to escape
similar
it, but
features.
There are things to discover. Yeah.
Yes, close enough.
But both Jennifer 1 and Jennifer 2 are pregnant, right?
Yes.
And I guess they're best friends? ?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We don't get a lot from Jennifer 2 in this episode, but Jennifer 2 is like, her character moment here is like, she's very braggy about her husband, even though he isn't there.
Yes, he's in Tokyo and works for some company that makes like NBA appropriate shoes for dogs or something.
Yeah, it's super weird, but she's like very like, oh, this is like the coolest job you could possibly, like a husband could possibly have. To the point where you're like, is this husband even real? Is what I was thinking. Since we watched The Con last week, I was like, this isn't a thing. And the Jennifers, they don't really understand this concept of escape rooms either. That's another character moment. They seem to be
which is very silly.
I guess they're like they're supposed to be like full mom mode where they like don't understand the young people already, I guess, even though everybody here is the same age, but I don't know. That was a little weird.
And I guess it's just like they're in high school, we're in like different social groups than Anik, I think, is also part of it. So it's like they're like to a certain level not terribly interested in whatever it is he does.
Yeah. Is this show trying to say that like escape rooms are like a nerdy thing that like cool kids wouldn't know about?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I don't think that's true though. Like
I don't think that's true
at all.
I don't think
that's
either,
true
but
at all, yeah.
Yeah. But like he says, like one of the escape rooms he's recently designed was called Santa Claustrophobia. And Gen 2 just writes Santa Claus as his job. Like she's just not paying attention and does not care.
Yeah.
And it's at this point that we cut back and Detective Danner's like, oh, you did that escape room? Yeah, I was in there and I needed all the clues. I was like, give me another clue. Come on, I can't figure it out.
Yes.
And Nick's just like, but you're a detective.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you have been able to put the clues together and figure this out?
Because I've never done an escape room, Sarah, but...
Oh, really?
No, but it's really just like a series of puzzles that you have to solve, right? And a clue is basically like a hint at whatever puzzle you're stuck on, right?
Yeah. But there are also like things that you could call clues within a room, right? Like there's a poster that has a bunch of numbers on it and you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll put these numbers over into this lock over here. Like there's a lot of clues she could have been picking up on probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, Detective Danner, even with clues, was not able to... I think she said she did get out, but she needed
all the hints.
Every clue.
Yeah, this is where Detective Danner says she's more of a social deduction type person rather than a putting the clues together detective.
Yeah. And they even established this through like the interactions between her and Detective Colt where like
Mm-hmm.
Detective Culp is like very focused on like the physical evidence clues, and she's just kind of like not really listening to him when he says it, and she's more just like staring at everybody and seeing how they're behaving with each other.
Right.
That's what she cares about.
Which at the end of the day, like, it only really works if you get a proper confession out of somebody. Like, if not, you do need to fall back on those hard clues. So it's probably good that they are partnered together and they get both sides of this.
Did we mention in the beginning when she was talking that it's almost she kind of like hijacked this case and made herself the lead?
Yeah,
but she basically only has like one night or like one day to solve this before it would be taken from her.
Correct. Yeah.
So any like physical evidence is not going to like solve the case, really.
Yeah, like the results are not going to get back from the lab in time or whatever.
So she basically has to play mind games with the people in the house in order to get them to confess. That's like how she's going to solve the case in the time frame that she has. So next, Anik and Jasper, they walk into the gymnasium.
And there is karaoke happening.
Yeah. And Zoe is singing.
She's singing If I Could Turn Back Time.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was the name of the song, but that was like the key line in the song.
I think it's the name of the song.
Okay.
I've heard it before, but I don't know who it's by.
But Anik and Jasper both agree that this is clearly a song she chose on purpose to like...
And is singing directly to Anik.
Yeah.
Even though she was singing before he walked in the room. I will just put that out there.
So this is the whole thing. Like, this flashback is from Anik's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And from his perspective that we're watching, Zoe is like clearly singing the song to Anik.
Yes.
But that might actually be what is in reality, because this is Anik's perspective. So
right.
I'm curious. I'm actually most curious, I think, at this point, just to see what Zoe's perspective is.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that all these interactions between Anik and Zoe are like very, very positive in terms of what Anik wants to happen with their relationship. And I have a feeling that from Zoe's perspective, it might not have been as positive.
Yeah. Well, there is an episode from her perspective, so don't worry.
Good. Okay. But yeah, so Anik is like, oh, I guess I should go sing my own karaoke song to express my feelings for Zoe.
And he explicitly says when he gets on stage that he dedicates this song to his former chemistry partner. So there's no doubt who he's trying to sing for.
And I didn't know what this song was, Sarah, and I actually don't know what it's about.
Some of it back in the day.
Okay.
And I had to look it up to find the name of the song. The name of the song is My Neck, My Back by Kia. It's Khia. I am unfamiliar with any other songs by her. But these lyrics are pretty explicit.
Yeah. And he did not choose this song. It's like he wanted a different song, but for whatever reason, the karaoke person put on this song. So it's a whole comedy scene of like, he's singing this song that was like almost the exact opposite sentiment that he was like trying to convey to Zoe.
And he's like making up his own lyrics about like women getting diplomas and feminism and how he likes his pancakes in a stack instead of the lyrics that are something like lick my crack. So yeah, he's having a rough time up there, but whoever is in charge of karaoke will not turn this song off for him. So it just keeps going for a little while.
Yeah, but even though this was super embarrassing for Anik, still from Anik's perspective, Zoe is just laughing at him in like a flirty kind of way, and then Zoe comes over and unplugs the karaoke machine to like save Anik from having to sing the entire song.
And then they have a little moment where they get to talk again. And he said he was supposed to sing Angel by Shaggy, which again was not a song I was familiar with till I looked it up. But it is actually the same song that was playing in his car when he pulled up to the reunion. And here Zoe says that she loves this song. So like, it is her favorite song. He was listening to it because he was already thinking about her. Like, it's a whole cyclical theme of stuff.
I did not know that either. So Anik and Zoe are going to flirt some more.
But who comes up but Xavier? Because it seems like he wants to flirt with Zoe too.
Yeah. So he like brings a drink over to her, and he's basically doing like the move where like you just try to box out the guy that's like talking to the girl that So he like he's basically like, hey Zoe, I'm trying to, like get a table together with all the cool kids and I will have a seat for you. But he's like not inviting Anik to the
Mm-hmm.
table.
And she even specifically is like, "Oh, is there room for Anik?" And he's like, "Oh no, it was the last seat." And she's just like, "I can squish over, like it's fine." He's like, "It's just not gonna. No, it won't work."
Is it weird to you that Zoe is like part of the cool kids table? I don't know. I don't know why Zoe would be and like Anik wouldn't be. Like it seems like they were part of like the same friend group in high school.
There is like
Unless it's just like
a
a
later
sexual.
episode that explains it more, but yeah, I think
Oh,
like right
okay.
now specifically it's just a, oh, she looks hot. He wants to talk to her.
Okay.
Like it doesn't, the past does not matter for him right now.
Okay.
But yeah, Anik basically like gives up and he's like, "Oh no, you go. I'll go sit somewhere else. It's fine."
Yeah. So they sit like one table. Anik and Jasper sit like one table over, and they're just like
And he's just
staring at.
staring at them.
Yeah.
Yes, it's terrible.
From their perspective, though, like Zoe can't see them staring, but I
Yeah.
think Xavier can.
And like Zoe and Xavier seem to be getting on pretty well, like they're flirting over there. So Anik's kind of like sulking about the whole situation.
Yeah. And then they run through a list of Xavier's like credentials because they're talking about like, oh, like what does Xavier have that's better than you, Anik? And he like they run through some credentials. I didn't write them all down, Sarah, but I wrote down one of them.
Yes.
You know which one I wrote down?
Well, the one I remember is he has a Grammy. I know that much.
Oh no, okay, that's not the one I wrote down.
Oh, is it about the not wearing a shirt and being hairless and having muscles?
No, you missed the best one, Sarah.
Which one?
Apparently, Xavier has an award for best comedy sex scene.
Oh, yeah. He's got a lot of credentials that are a little wonky.
I don't know what that means. They
I don't know either.
they like tried to kind of like infer what that might have meant by saying like, I was like, I think Jasper was like, yeah, well, I watched that, man, and I was like, well, I don't know what he's about to do, but then he did it, and that was crazy. I was like,
And
okay.
I think Anik says something about something being upside down
Something
or
upside down,
something.
yeah.
It's unclear. I want to know which of these movies was that in Hungry Hungry Hippos? Probably not. That looked like a children's film.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it was in the Hall & Oates movie. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. So in this conversation, we're also going to find out that Zoe's ex-husband is Brett.
Yes, who we previously saw on the balcony. Yes.
Yeah.
With Chelsea, and they had their secrets and were being childish.
And then they're like talking shit about Brett also because they don't like Brett.
Yes, they say Brett is the answer to the question of what if a human butt could wear a jacket.
And then immediately Brett comes and sits down right next to them. But fortunately, he didn't hear what they just said.
Yeah, he is also hyper focused on Zoe and Xavier and their flirting. And he's just like, anybody touches her tonight, I'm gonna kill them. So clearly he's not let go of their relationship.
Yeah. And he started this conversation with like, I hate that Xavier guy. But I couldn't tell if like he hated them outside of the context that Xavier was flirting with Zoe, or is it only because he was talking to Zoe that he decided to hate him?
It seems like it's only because he's talking to Zoe.
Okay.
His episode is the next episode, and it goes into like an interaction he has with him right before this moment that clarifies that.
Okay. I'm sure Xavier was like, actually no, Xavier's not really the type that would ask if it was cool.
Oh no, he was definitely like,
he would probably just tell him that he's about to.
He started writing a song about how he was going to have sex with his ex. Like,
oh,
that's
really?
the class. There's also like a weird peeing competition, which makes no sense.
Is that how Jennifer 1 gets peed on?
No, this
no,
is
it's
like,
not. Okay.
This is just who can pee longer and louder and change pitch.
Oh yeah, I've done this before. Sorry, you've never done this before.
Things are different for me, James. It doesn't work that way.
Louder, I don't know about that. The longest though, yeah, that's a classic.
Oh, but the length in this second episode is beyond any realistic length.
All right, I'm gonna like this scene. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, you're gonna like episode 2.
Okay. I was worried. So like this episode is like mostly like a rom-com flashback, which I was a little worried. Like, okay, this might be the best episode in the entire series because like Is there another genre of movie that I'm gonna like better than rom-com?
Well, let's see. Brett's is like an action movie, which is like
That's like comedy action. That could
it's
be
a
good.
comedy action.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be good. Is there like a horror one or like a thriller
No.
one or no?
Oh, let's see. There's a musical one that's
Oh, that
Jasper's.
could be good too.
Zoe's is like a weird animated one.
Okay.
Um, who else is in there? Oh, I guess Chelsea's is kind of the like a thriller horror film noir situation, but like yeah, so that's the spookiest one.
Okay.
It's more like a the calls coming from inside the house situation, not like I don't know, nothing like super scary.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right.
So yeah, there's good episodes to and themes to explore.
So I think they cut back to Detective Danner.
Yeah, because she has to highlight that Brett actually threatened to kill Xavier.
But then Anik actually clarifies that, like, oh no, Brett just said he would kill anyone who touched Zoe. And at that point, Brett was saying, or no, sorry, at that point, Anik was saying he was actually worried for his own life because he was planning on touching Zoe later.
Yeah.
But they go back to the flashback, and Jasper comes up with a plan to distract Xavier so that Anik can grab Zoe and talk to her again. And this works.
Yeah, successful.
They're going to talk about music stuff. We get like a little bit from it, but it wasn't much. I think we just have to wait for the Jasper flashback. Because we can't get an Xavier flashback for this because he's dead, right? So
correct.
Okay, good.
Oh, that would be like a great episode, like from the perspective of this ridiculous guy. Like that would be a fun time. It's a shame that we can't get that.
It would have to be like up until, unless he didn't see his murderer, but they'd have to cut it somewhere before like he would see who killed him. But
sadly,
we don't get
not
that
in the show.
But yeah, Anik and Zoe are talking again, and it turns out Zoe is actually the vice principal of the high school.
So she like never really left this school. She was an art teacher before, I think we find out about later, and then eventually now she's vice principal. And they're like really hitting it off again. Like every time they come together for a conversation, it is like a flirty, fun conversation.
It's like way too successful to me. Like it feels like Anik just thought everything went really well, but I don't think it's going to be like that once we see Zoe's perspective.
Right.
Yeah. But then the projector, a screen comes down in the gymnasium, and they're going to project
the lights go down.
I guess this is the thing that they do at reunions. It's like, I think it said the then and now.
Yeah. So like it's supposed to be a slideshow of like pictures of from back in the day and maybe pictures from now. But it's just pictures of Zoe and Brett and their kid. Like there's wedding photos, there's them playing in a park, and she's just like, what is going on with this?
I couldn't tell if this was like a meta moment of the show where like the reunion organizers didn't actually only put pictures of Zoe and Brett in the slideshow. I think it was just like these were the only ones that Anik mentioned to Detective Danner. So
not quite, but
you don't think so? Okay.
No. Like there's a thing that happened.
Oh, okay. So this actually did happen as Anik described it. Okay. Because Zoe even says like in the background, like, why are these all pictures of me and Brett? Like it's weird. Yeah. But this just prompts them to be like, hey, do they still have those delicious cookies in the cafeteria that they used to have? And she's like, yes, they do. So let's go get some and get out of here, basically, is what happens.
Yes, and as vice principal, she has this big old ring of keys so they can get anywhere in the school. And basically, there's a little montage of them having a good time around the school, like eating cookies and hanging out in the teacher's lounge. They get to the confiscated drugs stash and have some weed gummies. And I think they also like draw each other in the art room. Like it's this whole romantic date montage situation.
Yeah. And I think we cut back to Detective Danner again, and she's like, when are you gonna get to the good stuff? This is like very much like I guess this is like the move in I guess all rom-coms, but even in like the anime rom-com that I recommended to you, like anime rom-coms are only this, like nothing ever happens. It's like only the build-up and never the
but I mean, maybe they hold hands at some point at least. No,
maybe. Depends on which one you want. Animes are also weird where like they might they like make 12 episodes, and I guess like that's a season, but like, it might not actually be a conclusion of anything. And then they might never get around to making another season.
Yeah.
So you have to
Yeah.
like go read the manga or whatever to really get the full story.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the one that you had me watch that I kind of
Exactly.
liked. I got to the end of it, and I'm like, but nothing happens. What? Like, there was even a moment where they're like sitting watching fireworks, and it's like, this is the moment. This is where it happens. Nope.
Yeah,
Nothing
no,
happens.
yeah. Yeah. I love that stuff. I love the never getting the release of the relationship.
Just need a
working out.
little something at the end. Just
I
a
love
little
it. I love
tidbit.
it. I just love the build without it. Yeah. So Detective Danner feels exactly the way you feel, Sarah, when you watch that. She's like, get to it.
And she's like, I'm feeling probably the way she was feeling. Like, just come on, get on with it.
I don't know if that's true though. I think
Well,
I think it's gonna end up not being true, but from
that's at
the
least
way
what she says. Yeah.
yeah, from the way Unique described the story, that's how it seemed. And then they're gonna be drinking wine in the bleachers on the football field. Sarah, is that this is where
Yep,
we end
yeah.
up at? And what happens here?
They have a little emotional moment where they're talking about her divorce. Apparently, Brett had been cheating on her, and Anik admits finally that he had a bit of a crush on her back in the day. And she's just like, but you never said anything. And he's like, I don't know, the moment was never right. And then it starts to rain, and they're about to kiss. But then her kid shows up out of
Yes.
nowhere.
Yes, that's right. Yes, they were interrupted. That's what I'm talking about.
I also don't think it was really raining. This feels like an Anik add-in, Like,
Yeah, they joke about another raining part later, but this one might have also been fake. Oh, we did miss an interaction before they started the montage when they were walking off.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea actually like ran into Anik and Zoe as they were leaving.
And she was like, seems super drunk.
Yeah, to me it seemed like she did this on purpose, and she like wanted to talk to Zoe privately, so she like spilled her drink on Anik, and then was trying like hoping that he would like go get cleaned up, and then she like started talking to Zoe, and then Zoe kind of like had a reaction like she didn't really want to talk to Chelsea, and Anik noticed it, so he was just like, oh, you know what, I'll just not clean up, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he like swoops her away from and saves her from this weird Chelsea interaction she doesn't want to have.
So there seems to be like there's a thing going on between Brett and Chelsea, but there also seems to be a thing going on between Chelsea and Zoe potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But that is going to remain a mystery through episode 1.
Yeah.
But then they get interrupted at the bleachers when they're about to kiss by Zoe's daughters. 2 daughters?
Just one daughter. The
daughter.
other girl who shows up is the babysitter that Brett hired, but she shows up and says that she has a family emergency, so she can't watch Maggie anymore. And as she's leaving, she's like on the phone with her friend, like talking about the booze she got. So clearly it's not a family emergency. She just wanted to go to the party.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Gotcha. And then this was weird. Zoe decides that she has to go like talk to Brett, but she's gonna have to use adult language with him. So he's like, she's like, hey, Anik, can you watch Maggie for my daughter for me?
Yes.
And they're like just by themselves in the bleachers of the football stadium.
Yes.
I thought this was a
cute
weird
little
move.
koala named Kevin. Yeah, it is kind of weird to just leave your kid with somebody you haven't seen for 15 years.
Yes.
But I think she's just so mad at Brett that she's like, I just can't. She's furious, she's got to go deal with this.
Yes.
It is elaborated on later, but yeah, it's a weird move.
You want to describe this whole scene?
Yes,
You do?
do.
Okay, go ahead.
It's funny. So she's got a little koala named Kevin that she introduces Anik to, and he does a funny voice for Kevin. And then Maggie asks if he put the bones in mommy, and Anik's just like, what? And she says that her dad said she had to stop somebody from boning her mom, and so she's just like, did you do it? Did you put the bones in? And Anik's just like horrified and has no words. So he tries to have Kevin the koala explain it, but I don't know how that's going to be any better, but we don't have to find out because Maggie then just runs away because she's a child and wants to run away.
Yes. And then she gets back to the gymnasium and picks up a random glass of who knows what was in it.
Yep.
whiskey or something.
Uh-huh.
And
But
starts
also we find
drinking
out
it.
later also like cigarettes are in the bottom of it, and it's
Oh,
gross.
really? Oh, God.
Yeah, because she runs up to Brett and Zoe and she's just like, my juice tastes funny. And
Jesus.
Anik catches up and is just like, nope, 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 that's my juice, and like proceeds to down it all immediately. And later we see like the
Okay.
remnants of the cigarettes in the bottom of the cup, and it's gross. It's just
Oh,
yeah.
we see the cigarettes in this episode? I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
You see
ew.
them kind of
Ugh.
like as he's
God.
gulping down the drink, you see them go in his mouth, and then he kind of like spits them out into the cup later. It's gross.
Okay.
He was committed to like saving face there in a way that was unnecessary.
Yeah. But basically, yada yada the rest of the night, and people are leaving the reunion.
Yes.
And Anik is able to talk to Zoe again, and they're still hitting it off. They gotta get back where they left off. But then here comes Xavier. One more
he
time.
actually he asked her if she wants a nightcap, if they can go get a drink, and she's just like, but what about the after party? And he's like, yes, I was definitely invited to the after party. I know what you're talking about.
And then Xavier comes over and does like the same exact move again.
Mm-hmm.
The box out move. And it's like, hey, Zoe, if you come to the after party, why don't you ride with me in my helicopter?
And they both actually follow him to go in the helicopter, but after Zoe gets in, Xavier turns around and he's like, look, man, like, just, I'm trying to have a mellow night. You have a real anxious energy, so why don't you just let her go have fun? And Anik is even just like, hey, man, I'm, like, serious about her. Like, could you knock it off? And he's just like, it's up to her, man. She's in the helicopter, whatever, goodbye.
But then weirdly, this part was weird. Xavier actually does invite Anik to the after party. He doesn't give him the
Yes.
details or like anything like that, but he does say like, hey, you should still come to the party. Which I thought that
Right.
was a weird move. I guess it's just like a move that needed to be done for the sake of the show, but I didn't feel like an Xavier move at all to actually
Yeah.
do that.
But I do think that like Xavier does not feel threatened by Anik's presence at all. Like he does not see him as competition. So
But then he would let
from
him in
that
the
front, I
helicopter.
don't think he's well, but he might not be competition, but he might ruin what could otherwise be like a moment that they have together,
Could get a
you
little
know?
spicy in the helicopter, I guess.
Yeah. Or whatever, you know, like he would draw some of her attention away where otherwise he
Gotcha.
could have a private moment with her.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So Anik's gonna go back to his car. And then what is
Yeah.
this piece of paper he's looking at actually? Oh, it's the picture that they drew. He's like thinking over the picture that Zoe drew of him when they were doing like self-portraits of each other.
Yeah, and she's actually like good at art, so it's a cute caricature of him. And like,
Yeah.
it seems like he was just like giving up, and then he like looks back at this picture and is like, we had a really good, like, we had a connection, we had a really good time. Like, I can't just give up again. Like, I'm gonna go to that party. And then Jasper hits him with a car.
Yeah. Yeah. This is when this is a weird sequence of events here.
Yes.
Yeah, Jasper hits him with his car. Jasper gets in the car, and his immediate is just like, "Oh, don't be dead, don't be dead." Even though, like, clearly Anik is not dead. Like immediately, he's not. It wasn't like a full. It was a parking lot getting hit by the car, not a in the middle of the street kind of thing.
Like enough to knock him over, but in movie land, not enough to actually like hurt him at all.
Yeah, and I wasn't supposed to. Was it supposed to be like, oh, maybe he has a concussion here? I couldn't really tell. Like, what kind of injury?
Possibly.
There's a mix of like Anik is going to overdrink through all
Mhm.
this, but also maybe he had a concussion. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's unclear why he gets quite as like blackout drunk as he gets
Yeah.
at this point.
But Anik's gonna tell Jasper like, "Oh no, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I got to get to that after party." He's like, me and Zoe, we had a moment. We almost kissed, and then Chelsea is in the passenger seat of Jasper's car, which it took me a second to even realize that it was. I thought she was just in a random car, but she's actually in the passenger seat of Jasper's car for some reason, which we don't find out.
Yeah.
And she just overhears this and just yells out the window at Brett. She's like, "Hey, Brett, Anik made out with your ex-wife, and he's planning to do it again."
This is such a good moment. I love it. So this infuriates Brett, and he's just like, I'm coming after you. I'm coming to get you.
Anik, I'm coming for you.
Anik quick gets back in Jesper's car, and they like drive off, and it turns out that Brett like chases them with his car.
Yeah, which they didn't realize. And there's a whole funny dynamic in this scene actually, because this car that Jesper has is like a rental luxury car that he specifically rented to go to the reunion to like look richer than he is.
Really successful, yeah.
So he's like, they're like stopped at a red light, and Brett rolls up, and then there's this goofy interaction where he's like yelling at them through the car, like, "I'm gonna kill you," and except the window is down, so they can't really hear him. So like, "We can't hear you." He's like, and then he like signals like, "Roll the window down, roll the window," and then as soon as they rolls the window, he's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and then Anik's like, "I think he's serious, Jasper, gun it," and Jasper's like, "Nah, man, it's a red light," and then. So he's like, he doesn't want to get in trouble with this rental car, basically.
Right. I mean, he's an adult. Yeah, it makes sense. He doesn't want to.
And then when it turned green, it turns green, and Anik's like, "All right." He's like, "All right, hit it." And he's like, I got you, Anik, I got you. I'm gonna drive the speed limit though.
And he's like, "If I get a scratch on this thing, like I'm done. Like it's been hot."
Yeah, but yeah, yada yada. They actually like do get away from Brett somehow, despite. Supposedly, they didn't really follow all the laws, but
yeah,
they do get away pretty quickly.
And at some point in this car ride, Anik is like, "Oh, I need a drink," and reaches into Chelsea's bag and drinks out of a flask that is marked with an X, which is like an extra weird move of just like, maybe you shouldn't be drinking this.
Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like it wasn't explained well, like why Anik got to the point where he was like, "Oh, I'm so nervous now to talk to Zoe, even though every interaction I had with her up until this point was positive. But now I'm so nervous that I feel like I need to get super drunk to talk to her."
Well, like before was just talking to her in a casual sense. Now he's like, if I'm going to do this, I have to actually like tell her how I feel and try to move this forward, not just have a pleasant flirty time with her. So I think that's the difference for him.
But I feel like he already did that. I don't know. Like he said like, "Oh, I had a crush on you in high school," but it was like very obvious that he still had a crush on her, you know. I don't know. I feel like he already like broke the barrier of whatever the awkwardness was, and
but like she didn't actually like say, "Oh yeah, I had a crush on you too," and they didn't actually kiss. Like they didn't.
Yeah, but they
didn't get to the like proper confirmation of these feelings, you know.
I guess, but according to Anik's perspective, like they were about to kiss. So I feel like he feels like he did it, but like I don't know. I think for whatever reason, for the sake of like the mystery of the show, it was better that Anik, especially he's going to drink so much that he's going to black out.
Yeah.
And it creates more mystery around like, oh, maybe Anik did something that he doesn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So this seemed to be more of like a mystery show mechanic than it was like it made sense for his character.
Yeah.
But yeah, Anik is gonna keep drinking because he's like too nervous to talk to Zoe now.
But yeah, basically as soon as they get to the party, he starts getting pretty out of it. He only like seems to have one really like clear memory of the party, which is Brett showing up and pushing him into that bush of shrimp.
Yeah, so he's the one that knocked over the X shrimp bush.
Yeah.
And I guess, is that the point where shrimp potentially fell off the balcony as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was a big enough push that and
it right looked like it probably was, yeah.
And then right after that, because that was on the lower balcony, at that time, Xavier and Zoe had been in the upper balcony. So Brett sees Xavier and says something like, "Brah, I'm gonna get you," and goes upstairs to talk to Xavier. And they're both saying this weird, like, slow motion, distorted, like, "We're gonna fight," because at this point, Anik is just, like, about to pass out.
Yeah. But the perspective of, like, his perspective of them, like, being about to fight was actually very similar to, I feel like, Brett and Chelsea's interaction of, like, how they were arguing about how they're going to end the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like,
yeah,
"Oh yeah, the conversation's over," and they're like, "Oh, it'll be over when I say it's over." And then they're like, "Oh, I'm about to fight you." He's like, "Yeah, we are about to fight, aren't we?" He's like, "Here we go, we're about to fight." Yeah, it's like, I don't know, but but he's super drunk, so I don't know if it's just like a silly thing that the show did, but it
Yeah.
actually doesn't represent anything, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Like, at this point, he's so, like, out of it that he's well past unreliable narrator.
Yeah. And then he sees Zoe on the staircase, and he's like, I'm gonna go talk to her. But he's still too nervous, I guess. So he decides to take one last flaming Jello shot on the walkover, and then he blacks out.
Yep.
I think we go back to Detective Danner here, and she's like, dang, that story had a drastic change, and I did not like it. That's basically what she says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he wakes up at the party, you hear this line that you're going to hear over and over again through the whole show, which is, how great is this party? Which is like the moment the TVs turn on that we had seen previously in Indigo's movie of events. And
wait,
it's
what was on the TV?
You don't see it, but like you hear the sound that is just like, how great is this party?
Oh, okay.
And then it's some ska music.
Oh, okay.
But so yeah, that wakes him up, and this is the point at which he gets all the beer dumped on him because of the ski that was stacked on top of him with all the beer. And also his pants are pulled down, which we didn't see in the previous
yeah. I assume that was also a Ned prank.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because he didn't pass out with his pants down, so.
Right.
Yeah, so he wakes up. Ned is laughing his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
And he's laughing his ass off in a way that, like, I think he's almost the only one laughing.
Yes. And this is, again, like the later part of the evening where there are a lot less people at this party, and it's just Ned laughing at him.
Yeah. And I feel like it's very clear, almost, that Ned is the one that did this to him. But Anik does get up, and he's, like, very confused. He'd be like, what happened? What happened? And he does, like, say, it's not in the same dramaticness that Indigo's narration was, but it's like he does say, like, wait, does he say he thinks Xavier did this?
Yeah.
He does. Says, okay.
Yeah, it was Xavier. And he says something like, he keeps doing this to me.
Yeah.
Jasper shows up and is trying to be like, no, it's not. Calm down. Like, it's fine. And he's just like, no, I'm just going to go explain to him that it's not okay to treat people like this. So, like, his response here is, I just want to have a reasonable conversation with this man about how this is inappropriate behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually later describes, or maybe it was part of the same description, but his like full plan in the grand scheme of things when he went to talk to Xavier was actually to like go talk to Xavier and tell him off, and then say something like really good about Zoe, like, oh, Zoe's too good for you anyway, or something like that.
Yeah, he was hoping that she was going to overhear it, and then... Yeah. But yeah, Zoe is there, like, while he's on his way up the stairs. And she asks if he's okay, and he, like, tries to do this cool line where he's like, there's some things I need to tell you, but first I gotta go see about this asshole. And then he second guesses himself and is just like, not my asshole, just a different asshole. But not like a person's... I'll see you later. Like, he totally, like, flubs his entire cool guy line he's trying to do.
He should have been more drunk, maybe it would have helped.
or
so stupid.
Or less, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm joking, of course. But he gets up to the second floor, and Xavier's not there. And he looks in like a bathroom or something, so like a closet.
It's like a closet door, and he like closes it, and there's a mirror on the front of it, and he sees that his face is all sharpied up, and that's when he starts yelling.
No! Oh no!
Yeah.
And then he starts hearing like screams from downstairs, and then Indigo walks up to the room where he is and looks at him, and then weirdly walks away after he looks at him. Indigo's so weird.
Yes, she is.
And that's the end of Anik's story.
And this is where Dana really pulls it around and starts being bad cop, because she's like Anik comes to the end of the story like, see, clearly, like, you get it now. I didn't do it. And she's like, oh no, you just admitted to having a bitter rivalry with the dead guy, and you felt like he was getting in the way of your chance with Zoe, and you went upstairs to confront him right before he was found dead. And it's just like, yep, this is why you never speak to cops. Just don't do it.
She's like, basically you admitted to doing everything that the murderer would have done except for the murder itself. Basically. Yep. I think this is actually a weird move, though. I kind of looked ahead at like the names of the episodes, which maybe I should not have. And one of the episodes is Detective Danner.
Okay.
I feel like there's some like master plan going on here with Detective Danner where she somehow knows psychology enough that like somehow by making Anik think that she doesn't trust him is going to somehow lead to them exposing more information to her later somehow is the idea. Because she could have just been like, all right, thanks for your words, I'll go to the next person. But she like specifically tried to make it seem like she thought he was the murderer.
Yeah.
And this is gonna make Anik like freak out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he basically like instantly regrets being openly honest about everything.
Yeah.
This is what I would do, Sarah.
Well, it's what you absolutely shouldn't do. Like, you shouldn't talk to cops. It's never a good idea without a lawyer.
Yeah, nobody was like, "Oh, I needed my lawyer" or whatever. I don't know. I probably would have just done what Anik did here anyway.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
but it's not a good move.
I feel like it's like more suspicious not to, but I don't know.
I mean, they're gonna be suspicious of you if they're gonna be suspicious of you.
I don't
think that
actually
makes a difference.
believe that Detective Danner thinks that Anik did it. But
Okay.
for some reason, Detective Danner wants Anik to think that she thinks Anik did it.
I don't know. I think at this point, like, she makes really valid points. Like, he does look like a valid suspect.
Yeah, she uses valid points to start to like as evidence to make Anik think that she thinks he did it. But I don't know. Like, does she think Anik is like this like masterful social actor? Like, if you just read his body language and mannerisms, like I don't see why you would think Anik wouldn't be telling the truth here. And he like wasn't nervous at all. Like he talked about his love life like very openly. Like this is not stuff that you would like be able to talk so freely about if you were actually a murderer who was like trying to lie. I feel like I don't know.
I mean, it depends. Like, he could be like a sociopath, and this would be really easy to lie through. You know, like there's all kinds of people. I think
guess.
really just like with the evidence she has right now, he's at the top of the pile. But I don't think she's like, case closed, it's him. She's just like, yeah, from what I know right now, sure looks like you. Let me get there more information.
I'm gonna say Anik did not do this.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
All right. Interesting prediction.
I feel like that'd be a weird although I was thinking about like since like okay, each episode's a different person's perspective, like what episode would be like the person's perspective that would end up being the murderer? Like you wouldn't want like necessarily the last perspective to be the one that's the murderer, or maybe you would because there would be like it would be the reveal.
Mm-hmm.
But making it the first person, I don't know. The person from episode 1, I'm not sure if that makes sense.
I will neither confirm or deny.
I don't want you to confirm or deny, but I would say, yeah, I think I'll be disappointed if Anik is the murderer in the end of the show.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Anik leaves the interview and he's freaking out.
Yeah, he tells Jasper basically that she's never gonna find the real killer. Like, she thinks it's him. So like, he's decided he has to solve the case himself.
Yeah, so he like storms off to one of the bathrooms. And Jasper like follows him. And this is when Detective Danner like seems like she's up to something. Like she's watching Anik's reaction to her telling him she thinks that he's most likely the murderer.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
She's watching him like storm off, and she's doing. I'm assuming she's gonna do this throughout the whole series, where she's like always lurking and staring at people from like behind the corner. Yeah, so he's like freaking out in the bathroom, and he's like, oh, I gotta find a way to solve this by myself. And then he like throws a paper towel or something in the bathroom trash. But then he sees something in the bathroom trash. What is this, Sarah?
It is a ripped up note. And the words that they can make out on this paper are, "This is payback for what you did to me.
Feel the pain."
Oh, feel the pain.
That's like
feel the pain.
So it's like it says, "This is payback for what you did to me," and then it's like ripped again. But there's the next line down is only like the right half of the paper, and the right half of the paper says "feel the pain." So there's words in between. This is payback for what you did to me, and the "feel the pain." Now I'm gonna make a prediction about this, Sarah.
Okay.
I think this is a song lyric.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
All right.
It could be a song lyric and like somebody ripped up a song lyric to like, oh, be a threatening message also. But it's weird that like somebody would have wrote down this threatening message. Like the way the paper is, it's like if you had a whole notebook piece of paper and then you like very carefully ripped exactly around only the words you wrote.
Yeah.
So it's a suspicious like threatened note too. It's like
Yeah,
it's not in like yeah, it's weird. And it's in the bathroom trash can, which is also weird. Even if it was a song lyric, it would be weird if it's in the bathroom trash. But for some reason to me, it just seemed like it would be a song lyric.
But Anik is sure that he's found a clue now. He's on the road to solving this murder himself. And I do love Jasper is like continuing to be like his hype man. He's like, yeah, you design escape rooms, you can do this, you know, and think about it this way. If you solve this case, the room you escape is prison.
Yeah. But then Detective Danner is going to come knocking on the bathroom door. He'll be like, is everything all right in there? And then he's like, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. And he opens the door, but then he like holds the note behind his back. Because I question the effectiveness of this, because now like Anik doesn't trust Detective Danner at all. So he's actually like withholding evidence from Detective Danner. Although I guess like if he had a note all of a sudden that he didn't share with her, I guess that could also be incriminating. So this I don't blame him necessarily for not sharing this note immediately.
And I think he just wants to like find enough evidence that when he goes to her, it's not going to be blown off, you know, like we talked about last week with the con and how much evidence Jonathan had to put together before the cops would take him seriously. He's just preparing himself.
Yeah, I get where Anik's coming from here, I guess. To me, I would have just like told my story, even if my story was Anik's story, and then Detective Danner would have been like, it seems like you're probably the murderer, and I'd be like, well, it's not me, and I would have just went and sat down on like the couch for the rest of the night. I wouldn't have done anything, but Anik's going a different route.
Yeah.
And then Detective Colt walks in the front door, and he has grabbed Brett by the arm.
Yes, he said he was trying to sneak off.
He was trying to sneak out to his car, which we know there's something in the back of his car that Chelsea knows about.
Yes.
And then Detective Danner said, all right, I guess it's time to hear your version of the story. And then the episode ends.
Yeah.
And so next episode will be Brett's version of the night.
So, tell me how you felt about this show. Did you like it?
I did.
Okay.
I definitely have to keep watching the show.
Okay, good. Success. Finally.
It's only 8 episodes. My biggest gripe of this show is that it's on Apple TV Plus.
Okay, fair enough.
That's like the most annoying part of the show. I wouldn't say that like this is a comedy for sure. I wouldn't say like I was necessarily like laughing out loud very much with the jokes in the show, but they were like lighthearted and like fun enough jokes that it just made it enjoyable to watch.
And the like comedic value does vary episode to episode. Like I think the second episode is pretty funny because it's the comedic action movie and Brett's a little ridiculous. So yeah, that will, your mileage may vary through the series for that.
But Tiffany Haddish is great in the show. I think she's the star of the show so far. Yeah. In episode 1. But I'm looking forward to seeing how she handles all the other interviews and whatever funny comments she's going to have when she interrupts their stories. And there's still a lot of characters that we really don't know anything about yet. And they're people or actors or whatever that I like. And I'm looking forward to seeing their side of the story. So It's only 8 episodes. Yeah, I'm in. I'll be watching it.
Nice. I really, really like this show. And there is an episode where they do like a flashback to like a high school party. And it's great because they have all the same actors just acting as their high school selves, but so they look really out of place and not like teenagers, and it's funny. But like also their high school time period lines up with about my high school time period, so like that shit's nostalgic as hell. Like all the music they play and like the fashion and stuff. I'm just like, oh, this is very familiar to me.
Well, that's true. I guess I was class of 08. So yeah, that is actually pretty close. I always get confused between my high school graduation and my college graduation.
Yeah.
So okay. I actually wasn't thinking about how close I was in age to these people. So that'll be a fun episode.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to make a prediction on who you think is the murderer?
Oh yeah, I was kind of watching the first episode, and maybe it was because I had to take notes for the podcast, so I was like taking a lot of details on like potential clues and stuff to talk about on the podcast. I feel like trying to solve the murder is like not necessarily the fun way to watch the show. Like
No?
Especially because I'm definitely gonna like be thinking about it a little bit,
Mm.
but I don't want to make this show like kind of how it is like when we watched Snake in the Grass, where it's like
Yeah.
you're watching the show to figure out what who the snake is in the end, like,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna like kind of like or dislike the episode based on if you felt like you were deceived by the show in an unfair
Mm.
way. I don't
Okay.
want this show to be that. I just
Okay.
kind of want to enjoy the characters and just not really care too much about how it gets wrapped up. Now, hopefully, it's a good conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not a good conclusion, it will like take points away from the show in the end, regardless of how
Right.
funny it was up until that point. Because the way the show is kind of presented is like you're getting flashbacks, but all the flashbacks are kind of like not reliable information
Mm-hmm. Right.
until maybe you get a couple of them and like some of the information is kind of verified from multiple perspectives, maybe. But
Right.
through episode one, like you really have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
You
believe
said
that
you
at least.
had. You said you had a pick that you thought had done it though.
Oh, did I? No, I didn't. I didn't mean that I had a specific pick. No,
Oh.
I just meant I
Okay.
wanted to talk about like the way I watch the show and
Okay.
how I would go about potentially picking somebody. No, I don't have a specific pick.
Okay.
I can tell you why it could be like it could be so many people
Well, yeah.
because
Right now we
everybody's
have
like
very little
hella
information.
suspicious.
But yeah, I like a good whodunit where you actually have all the information you need to figure it out if you want to. Like, there's so many like mystery shows or whatever that are just like the super smart detective at the end is just like, and here are all the things, and like they weren't wasn't in the show. Like, there's no way you could have figured it out. But I think that this, like, all the evidence that they use in the final episode during the reveal is like stuff you could have noticed along the way. So that's something like I really like about this show, even
Oh,
though I
okay.
did not get it right.
Okay. I don't think I'm gonna watch close enough. If there's like any really sneaky stuff that you have to have noticed,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not expecting to get this right. It's
Okay.
also a comedy, so there's really like the show doesn't have to be totally fair. I think because it's a
Yeah.
comedy. If this was like a pure drama, like this would have to be like start to finish, like really well told and have a really good conclusion for me to
Mm.
like think it's a good show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But because this is a comedy, I'm not holding it to that standard.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm glad we watched this. I'm in.
Ah, success, finally. I feel like this is you actually liked a show that I picked.
I watched all of Gallivant.
Yeah, but that felt like a meh, yeah, sure. It's short
I
enough. I'll
enjoyed
get
it.
through it.
I mean, this show's kind of. I mean, this one's only 8 episodes. That definitely is a bonus. It's good for this because this show, the 60-minute or whatever episode length is very long.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't watch a lot of like 45-minute shows,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like a full 60-minute show. So I think I also might watch the show with my wife. So I think
Okay.
I won't be blasting through this because
Yeah, it'll
I'll
take
be
a while.
waiting for her. Otherwise, I would probably like get off this podcast and go watch episode 2 right now. But I'm gonna wait. So
Okay.
it might take a few weeks for me to get through this.
Well, I look forward to hearing your assessment when you get to the end.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely have some things to say, regardless of if it's good or bad at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll hate the show by the time I finish it.
I
So
hope not. I need
you'll have to go back to the
like
drawing board.
relish this victory that I've gotten.
All right, are you ready to talk about next time, Sarah?
Oh, are you ready to talk about next time?
I'm ready to talk about next time when we get to it.
Okay.
Well, but what we're talking about next time is the best show on television.
Okay.
Right? We can both agree
Mhm.
on that, right?
I don't know that it's a show on television. We can agree on that.
All right, we're gonna be talking about Survivor because the
Yes.
Survivor 43, season 43. Survivor is just numbers now. It's gotten to the point.
Oh, right. It used to be like named by the place, right?
Yeah, it used to like always have a name or like it used to be named by the place, and then eventually they would just do like kind of like maybe like the twist of the season was the name of the season.
Mm. But now it's always in the same place and just numbers.
Like the season that Trish is on from Snake in the Grass, she's on a season called Brains versus Brawn versus Beauty. So like the three tribes are like broken down into like nerdy people and then like like strong
Oof.
people and then like models and
Mm-hmm.
it's not like it's not a perfect fit because really what they do is like they just cast people for a season and then they just like figure out how to like divide them in a way that kind of makes sense, but they're not casting specifically to fit like a theme. They just want to get good people on the show. So it's goofy, but now they gave up on even trying to do that, and now it's just since season 41, it's just been season 41, season 42, and now it's season 43.
Yeah, so we're gonna watch the first episode, which is what, like 2 hours.
It's a 2-hour premiere. So next episode, fair warning, it's going to be a lot to watch. And me talking about Survivor could literally go on forever. So
I'll do what I can to rein you in.
Yeah, you have to rein me in, and we might have to. Well, it's not going to be like we did here, where we're giving like a scene by scene recap. Yeah. We might focus on individuals we think are interesting in the episode. We probably won't talk about every contestant. There's 18 contestants.
Oh yeah,
this season. We'll just talk about the ones that come up, and especially whichever tribe or tribes that go to tribal council in episode 1, we'll focus on those tribes more than the ones that don't have to go to tribal. But yeah, I'm super excited. I've been itching for Survivor to come back. The end of the Big Brother season got a little boring. So I don't have a reality TV show right now, and Survivor needs to be here. So
Snake in the Grass wasn't scratching that itch for you enough?
Oh, I did like that. That's another show I want to watch with my wife, and we haven't gotten around to it. So I still have only watched one episode. But I will be watching that eventually. But Survivor is a show, I catch it when it airs live on CBS. I do not stream the show unless extreme circumstances. I will miss an episode and have to watch it. But yeah, it's one of the few shows that I still catch live. But yeah, I'm going to basically be nerding out on Survivor in the next episode.
It sounds like I get to take it easy next episode. You know?
Yeah. Just, well, I mean, you have to listen to me. There are a few I want to play Survivor. So
yeah,
the way that I think about Survivor as if, I'm going out there to play this game eventually. And I have some crazy theories that have never come up on the show, and I don't think anybody's ever talked about because they're crazy. And I should talk about them on the episode potentially, because then there'll be a record in the podcast feeds that I talked about this strategy before I went out and did it on the island. So, and the strategy that I really want to talk about is specifically for like the first tribal council you go to.
Okay.
So I'm gonna really nerd out and break down some aspects of this, which will make it a longer podcast for sure.
And me, I'm gonna be like, I didn't like that guy. He was a jerk. That's the level I'm coming in at.
Well, you'll be able to assess if you think my idea is too crazy or not.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, Survivor 43.
Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be awesome. This might not affect the release date of the podcast episode, but we are going to wait. We usually record on Tuesday nights. Survivor airs on Wednesday nights. We're going to be waiting
till Thursday night.
We're going to be waiting till Thursday night to record the podcast. And it's potentially going to be a longer podcast to edit. So not sure
might be a little
if
late.
It will release at the normal weekly time or if it will be later. But I'll do my best. So yeah, Sarah, where can people contact us?
If they would like to email us, they can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com. They can find us on Twitter at keepwatchingpod, Instagram at keepwatchingpod, and on YouTube you can leave a comment for us on this video for Keep Watching Pod, and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you are enjoying this episode or any of them. And make sure, you check us out on Twitter, because we're like to do a weekly poll related to the episode. So be on the lookout for that.
Alrighty. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.